Hello, my name is Jordan Eisbrook, and alongside my colleague Mason Lincoln, we have decided to take on the SDGs Challenge 2025. In compliance with the United Nations' seventh goal in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, we have focused on creating an engaging and realistic solution to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all.
The global human population requires an extremely large amount of energy to be used every day, much of which is destroying Earth. Non-renewable energy resources are choking Earth with pollution, rising temperatures, and unsustainable consumption. For most of history, we have relied on burning coal and oil without knowing the devastating environmental consequences they leave in their wake. But now, we know exactly what these forms of energy are doing to the world, and why it's important to find an affordable and accessible way to utilize renewable energy.
That's why today we'll be focusing on Target 7.2, increasing the share of renewable energy in the global energy mix. Our goal is to increase the globe's current renewable energy percentage from roughly 26% to 50% by 2030. We plan to highlight wind turbines and their benefits, examine how and where they work, and dive deep into the specifics of how a world relying on our turbine proposal can succeed from an economical, environmental, and logistical perspective.
As we mentioned earlier, burning of fossil fuels like coal have negatively impacted the environment and are not sustainable methods of energy. These fuel sources are limited and cannot replenish soon enough after use to adequately provide energy to people all around the globe. As a response to this issue, Jordan and I have decided to focus specifically on offshore wind turbines for a number of economical and practical reasons.
Offshore wind turbines allow countries to maximize energy efficiency while not disturbing established communities. Because the turbines will be away from populated areas, no homes or property will lose their value. Many large cities reside closest to the coast as well and utilize the highest rate of energy.
An average offshore wind turbine, with a capacity typically ranging from 8 to 12 megawatts, can produce enough electricity to power roughly 3,000 to 4,000 average households annually. As a result, they can be expensive, with offshore turbines costing up to $4 million to install and $20,000 annually to maintain. In order to integrate offshore wind turbines significantly into each country's energy pool, Jordan and I have constructed an in-depth timeline for UN member nations to work together and support the growth of renewable energy in the world.
By mid-2026, or August 1st to be exact, we plan for delegations to have been completed, enable UN member nations to pledge a contribution to our project. We plan to ask for $20 million in voluntary contributions for every 5,000 people in said country's 2 to 3 most populated coastal cities. The $20 million will go completely towards our sustainable energy proposal and is enough for roughly 5 offshore wind turbines.
While the initial cost is hefty, within a few years the turbines will be profitable through money made by creating electricity. An 8-megawatt wind turbine operating at 50% capacity year-round would make roughly $700,000 annually, with most turbines operating up to 65% capacity and 5 turbines created per $20 million invested. Contributing member nations can expect the most expensive turbines to be profitable in less than 6 years.
The plan doesn't stop there, though. By 2029, we plan to call on capable member nations for voluntary contributions towards countries who cannot afford to do so. In this instance, we will ask member nations to contribute $8 million per 20,000 people in the population of unable countries, good for roughly 2 wind turbines. This will be a smaller shift in these countries, but allow them some room to grow.
In return for their investment, contributing countries will earn a 10% commission annually on profits from these new turbines. On top of a commission, each new offshore wind farm involves over 1,500 people. Personnel are needed for planning, construction, installation, and ongoing maintenance.
In order to make an even bigger impact and increase efficiency, we plan to build many wind turbines on the basis of existing decommissioned oil rigs. There are currently tens of thousands of decommissioned oil rigs across the globe, including north of 32,000 surrounding our home country of America. In addition, a study by the Commonwealth Secretariat estimated that more than 50,000 offshore wells and 10,000 offshore structures plan to be shut down worldwide. Though decommissioned, these rigs still pose great environmental risk. In fact, these wells are a major contributor to the global level of oil and gas leak into our oceans, as well as methane, a greenhouse gas that advances the breaking down of the ozone layer. Removing the drilling part of the rig and keeping the base will have an incredibly positive environmental impact and save millions of dollars. Instead of building a new platform, renovating these new ones will save up to 80% of the original cost. Here is a model showing how this will work.
Alongside our proposal come some risks, but we believe the pros significantly outweigh the cons. For example, the turbines pose a potential threat to birds. While they could potentially find themselves in harm's way because of our proposed wind turbines, other human related activities such as buildings and power lines are much more devastating to avian communities. The energy resources provided by the turbines will have a much greater impact, and while we should strive to protect our wildlife, the potential risk is worth it in this case.
As part of our proposal, we've outlined the integration of the first iteration of our sustainable solution. Our proposal focuses on converting decommissioned oil platforms in the Gulf of Mexico, specifically off the coast of Galveston, Texas, into fully operational offshore wind farms. This region not only offers strong wind resources and a high density of aging rigs, but also sits near Houston, one of the country's major energy and industrial hubs. The process would begin immediately by identifying structurally sound platforms and analyzing wind data, completed within the first 6 months. At the same time, we will begin securing permits from agencies like BOEM, BSEE, and the EPA, a step that could be accelerated with federal and UN-aligned clean energy funding.
Within the next 12 to 18 months, platforms would be cleared of old oil equipment, reinforced, and retrofitted with 1 to 3 wind turbines per site. Final steps would involve grid connection and testing. By repurposing these existing platforms, we avoid the typical $10 to $15 million decommissioning cost and reduce new construction expenses by up to 80%. This means a potential savings of $5 to $30 million per installation. With the right funding and fast-tracked approvals, the first converted platforms could be fully online and operational by early 2027.
The solution we've proposed gives world leaders a realistic and detail-oriented proposal to a nuanced and complex solution. The UN thrives off of voluntary contributions, and by coming together as citizens of the world, able countries will be able to help thrust renewable energy into the limelight of the global energy pool. Together, we can turn this vision into reality and lead the world towards a cleaner energy future. Thank you.